Right, so this is gonna be fairly interesting. Now, as you can see, we are in 37, so we want to do all the industrial things. But before we choose that, of course, we are going to wait till they all line up, till they all get to 30 days. Right, I'm gonna read it later. Oh, okay, so now we have 51, and since we are about to research 3 things in the industry, we are perfectly suited to get industrial research time. There we go. Alright, so if a plane only has 50% air coverage, it means that for every 100 planes you send, only 50 will arrive at the mission and actually do something, cutting your strength in half. Well, okay. That's, yes, I know that. And the half that can't reach still have to roll for attrition, take off landing, of course, and is still vulnerable to being intercepted. So they're risking themselves without doing anything. Fighter hunt on home region. Oh yeah, okay. I'll just read it later rather than. Well, main goal is actually to have high coverage, but yeah. I wonder how it's so. Well, you are talking about fighters here, right? But how does it work the other way around? For example, if you are using close air support without fighter coverage or without enough fighter coverage, you actually want to be to not be intercepted. And if you are intercepted, you probably want just at least just, for example, one of your wings to suffer that. But yeah, okay, we'll deal with the blade agreement first. Okay, have I fucked it up? Oh shit, I think I fucked it up. Damn it. Yeah, let me check something. Okay, so we want our referendum to be focus number 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, never mind. 8, 9, and that will be 10. Yeah, that's how it should be. Yeah, I'll check that because yeah. You are right. I haven't actually paid attention into to that earlier. Well, lately. Alright, so should probably start thinking what doctrine we want to go. Why should the referendum be focus number 10? Because Anschluss is focus number 11 for Germany. And I actually tested that, and if you do Anschluss and the other thing at the same time, if they are doing Anschluss when you are doing a referendum, they will win, so to speak, and they will Anschluss and your referendum will misfire. So you don't want that. Okay, and now we are going industrial revitalization, and then we are going to reintegrate the railroads. Having that before you do the referendum. Yes, I always, basically always play with historical focuses on. I don't really like the random thing too much. This at least presents some kind of challenge that you can, expect what's that supposed to be. So we have Bled Agreement and our Trianon debuff is gone. So about historical focuses. Does Austria-Hungary fracture German-Italian relations? Not sure. In what way? National spirits. I have restored Habsburg restored. Secret rearmament. So those two were just through national focuses, and Bled Agreement is basically. I'm not sure why it's left like that without anything, but this is basically a Trianon treaty that has been neutralized by going for this. Okay, what do you want now? So the other things we are going to go for are war industrialist and military theorist, and of course we will want to we'll switch to partial mobilization after Japan goes to war and bumps world tension to 15. So we are just gonna go with army experience, I think. Especially since it's about time to start researching our doctrines. I don't know if they accept Austria-Hungary, they just, don't attack us, but that's about it. Alright, so... non-doctrine, let's see. I haven't done this one in a while, let me remind myself. Those are not very good. Max entrenchment, that's actually good stuff. Going this way, what we have? Supply consumption, useless. Organization 2, useless. Max planning 10, good, but nothing to write home about. Infantry width, that's the best one here. Breakthrough. And here we have guerrilla tactics, that's kinda useless, but you get plus 0.2 recovery, which is quite a lot. This, of course, recruitable population, 5%, very powerful. 10% for all infantry, very powerful. And infantry recovery rates, but that's only for the actual infantry, not for the specialists, not for mountain troops and so on and so forth. So we would have to simply use actual infantry. Let's see. Yeah, we did. Yeah, I think, okay, like just for the sake of making things interesting, we are gonna go with mass assault. But if you wanted to min-max it, I would probably go with battle plan or superior firepower. How about Waffe, maybe? Oh, you know what? Change of plans. We are actually gonna go mobile warfare. I haven't used tanks at all in most of those playthroughs, so I will actually try to build up a decent tank force this time around. Speaking of tanks, oh, we only had a shitty designer, so that's sad, but well, oh well. So I kind of wasted a few days there, but we'll survive. Because those 30 days carried over, so I just wasted like 5. Okay, both industries done. As you can see that having theorists gives you quite enough experience if you can afford one. Not everyone can. Purges and industrial revitalization. And it's about time to reintegrate our railroads. So we are basically fixing the gaps in the old railways in the empire, which is going to actually max out the infrastructure in the rest of our regions, which is nice. Well, Spanish Civil War about to end. I haven't seen Republican Spain winning in this patch yet. Probably not gonna happen. Now, so we have that one bonus to the. Okay, so it's July, so that's actually quite tempting to go. Oh, never mind. Of course, it's next year, not this time around. Yeah, I guess we can go air doctrine. We can start working on those. Long-term commitment, and since we're already doing that one, already done this. Haven't unlocked those. Let's see. Do we want to? Well, not quite. Not quite yet. I think I'll just get better buffalo artillery for now. Probably soon enough we should start working on our tanks, to be honest. But well, we might as well grab this nonsense first. And well, it's not like we can afford building them quite yet. It really slows down when I'm streaming. I guess that's both are pretty heavy on the PC or CPU, I mean. Well, we have sort of stockpile. The 44 build. Nothing to write home about quite yet, but it adds up. Reintegrate the railroads, and now it's time for the referendum. Alright, so we reintegrated the railroads, so that increases the chances of that succeeding quite a lot, and on top of that we will need to improve relations to have the best odds. Marking for a bridge incident. So after the next focus, there will be a war in China, so we will be able to use our political power to switch from civilian economy to partial mobilization. It really comes together quite nicely with this setup. Sadly, since we are unaligned, we won't be able to switch to war economy, but well, we can't have it all. October, yeah, I think we'll just continue in this direction. This is, of course, like, I mean, right now this doesn't give us nearly enough, but well, it takes a while to research all those things. So if we have spare research, it's good to put them into doctrines. Yeah, so waiting for that partial mobilization next month. And there goes Spain. So this is gonna be funny, because if I'm not mistaken, they will actually start doing Anschluss, because it takes a few days for the referendum results to actually reach us. Okay, we can stop improving. Let's max it out, actually, just to be certain. It eats up a little bit of 0.2 daily. Not a little bit, but as you can see, well, actually, does it? It should end automatically, shouldn't it? Oh, okay, never mind then. Stop. Almost there. And we are in November, so after this month ticks, we will be able to get next level of electronics. Alright, and war, referendum. Should fire any second now. We'll get 2 civilian factories out of it. Excellent. Referendum succeeds. We had 95% chance that it will happen like that. Now let's check what we have gotten out of it. So interestingly enough, there are no mountain troops out of that. I would actually have to check if the fact that we have no access to them perhaps gets them disbanded or something. Because I would imagine that Austria actually starts with some. We of course this way. Oh, actually yes, we have Altenjäger. We can. I wonder if we can build them. Well, we can, despite not having the research, or have we gotten it for free? We have not gotten it for free, but we still have the access, so that's quite nice. I actually wonder if we will be able to add more. Let's see, nope. But well, if we were so inclined and wanted to build such small things, we could. So for whatever reason, this shows up as as paratroopers, but that's because of my mod, I imagine. Because this is basically an infantry division. Various stages of them. Really nothing to write home about here. And so it's weird that they are numbered the other way around. I would think that this should be the last stage of what they had. Well, hopefully the divisions of Czechs will be better. Now, of course, construction, and we are actually going to. I could have sworn we were supposed to get 2 points of industry in here. of infrastructure. All right, so let's actually finish that. I think it hasn't updated yet. Let's unpause. All right, there we go. So we have now we are now up to 24, and quite a few of those. Let's see, what do we want? I think we want moral support. We have what? 5 more. We have a little bit of that to spare. Well, that we'll have to do, and we'll. I think we'll just buy steel for now. The rest we can survive with negatives. Okay, another question: who do we want to buy things from? I think neutral nations are the way to go. Actually, we don't want to buff our enemies to come, which is Soviets and the Germans, I believe. So, and I imagine also the Allies. We will probably end up fighting everyone, to be honest. Hi there. Oh, once again, I should have probably read that to you, but sorry. Okay, and now we can switch to partial mobilization. We have 62, so next one will be War Industrialist. Right, so we should probably start building stuff. Well, for whatever reason, they have more they have more factories that they could possibly fit in those two places, but whatever. Just AI things. So we're just gonna build a little bit here, a little bit here, and a little bit here. Then I will leave the infrastructure to finish, actually. United Chinese Front started. Let's add stuff to one to match. So you can be red, I guess. And sadly we are not getting their generals, which is a bit weird, but well, there we go. Where do we want you? Oh, let's put you on the German border. Well, actually, let's put you all on the Czech border. Not sure if that actually affects them agreeing, but haven't checked that precisely, but on an off chance that it does. There we go. Kingdom of Hungary. So what we are going to do now, well, talk about it once we get there, but yeah, let's just stick to our original plan. Now let's so looking through the focuses. Here we can get a research. So well, definitely something we want, but we'll have to finish those two first. As far as our main tree, we will need to first do the restoration of Austria-Hungary before we can go to protect Czechoslovakia. So this will have to be our next focus, and then Czechoslovakia. Now here we can, and further down the line we have one of the other focus research slots that are, for whatever reason, not gated behind the number of factories that is usually the case in other nations. So we can just pop down there and pick it. So as I mentioned with the Czechoslovakia, when Germans demand Sudetenland, oh right, so the funny thing is that the Anschluss is still going, but there is... Yes, the people have chosen correctly. I mean, look at Otto and look at Hitler. So, I mean, why, the choice was obvious. Actually, wasn't Hitler like in the shadow or whatever? Maybe it's just in the German version. Okay. Now the restoration of Austria-Hungary. So this basically makes all those provinces into cores. Now we have some of the population that is the core population, so Hungarians, but the Austrians aren't core population, so they don't provide nearly as much. Well, they hardly provide any manpower for us, but once we do that, they are all proud members of our empire. Now, so as I said, I wanted to go for a war industrialist, but I think it's about time to start researching some tanks and, well, to lesser extent airplanes. So let's actually take a look when we would be able to do such thing. The only hero, really. Okay, how I want to continue here. I think I will get like 2 more of that, then 1 into this. Well, actually 1 into this first because we have some spare steel. There we go. All right. What are we producing? Still producing that. So that's what, 10% research. We'll still want to switch from disarmed nation, but that's not all that important right now. So yeah, so option is either tank thing or political advisor for building factories. So what are the options that, so we can for example simply continue in getting doctrines for a while now, and then we can switch that. Yeah, well, we'll do the research tank later. Tank research later. Let's just stick to that. I mean, I get your point. That's fairly irrelevant, but you have to understand that if the law is already on the books, you have to change it. And I don't think that's the biggest problems of Germany is that they need to legislate to allow the face of Hitler again. I mean, sure, I guess that's probably a bit silly, but I mean, there are bigger fishes to fry, so who would bother? I think like Face of Hitler is a bit of a stretch here. It's mostly about Nazi symbols. So people not running around with swastikas and shit like that. Okay, so we'll just continue getting the doctrines because we are pretty heavily behind. Oh yeah, that's definitely not suppressed. History about Nazi Germany is definitely not suppressed in German schools, that's for sure. That was indeed a fairly silly way to put it. Might whoever did that. Alright, so National Congress. Restoration of Austria-Hungary. With the reunification of Austria and Hungary completed, the Hungarian government has gathered international press in Budapest and announced the restoration of Austro-Hungarian Empire. King Otto has assumed his rightful title as Emperor of Austria and has reiterated his vow that, though the empire is yet but a shadow of its former self, he shall not rest until the Habsburg lands have been reunited. Only neighbors undoubtedly eye the proceedings in that Budapest suspiciously. Well, they should, like the phoenix from the ashes. Alright, so the way the Sudetenland and Czech thing works, from what I understand, is that if the demand for Sudetenland has been already going on, Czechoslovakia has a big chance of accepting the annexation, basically. And for that reason, rather than being a puppet, because, well, puppets make for terrible border gore. So what we are going to do is, since the next focus of Germany is going to be demand Sudetenland, and we want to wait for a few days for our focus to like 5 days to be a little bit delayed. So Czechoslovakia will already have to accept the fact that Germany is about to eat them, and that should make their acceptance of annexation very likely. We could simply go for the next focus and only then go for the for the Czechoslovakia, and only thing we would lose is Sudetenland, which, well, is not all that great in terms of simply well, industry and whatnot, but or resources, but it would be a terrible border gore. Simply, Czechoslovakia looks silly without Sudetenland, so we are simply going to try to grab it all. What should we continue researching this? April. Yeah, let's continue our doctrines.